How's it going, everybody? Thank you guys so much for stopping by. My name is Tyler, and today we're going to be talking about a lens that I've been having a lot of fun with lately. This is the Viltrox 85mm f2 EVO lens. Let's get into it. First off, this isn't going to be a full in-depth review on this lens. We probably won't get into all the charts. We probably won't pixel peep the sharpness. We probably won't be looking scientifically at how bad the chromatic aberration is or all that kind of stuff. We'll just be talking about what my experience has been like the first couple weeks of owning this lens and what it's like to actually use it. There's not a whole lot of 85mm f2s out there on the market. There's lots of 85 f1.8s. Lots of 85 f1.4s, but I think it's important to keep in mind where this lens is priced in order to do some sort of accurate comparison. So Viltrox has done a really good job with their cheap lenses lately, and this 85 f2 EVO is no exception. They have this lens competitively priced at $275. Now, that's not going to take into account any Black Friday sales. That's not going to take into account any price increases because prices for everything tech related are just all over the place right now. But upon release and when I purchased the lens, it was priced at $275. That definitely does make this one of the cheaper 85mm lenses out on the market. Although you will make some sacrifices here and there, we're going to talk all about the pros and cons and why this might be worth picking up at that price point. Now, first, let's talk about build quality. For being $275, the build quality on this lens is actually fantastic. It's not entirely metal, there are some hard plastic parts. This focus ring here is a hard plastic. It's got some very nice fine grooves in it, and it does spin really smoothly. I believe this aperture ring is hard plastic as well, but same deal, it feels really nice. The build quality is really great. This is a declickable aperture ring, so it's got some clicks on there, and there is a switch on here to declick it, and now it's a smooth spinning aperture ring. It also does have the ability to click into an A mode so that the camera controls the aperture. And even when you have the ring declicked, it does click into that A position so it doesn't get moved out there on accident. I do wish that locking click was a little bit stronger, but it is there. Outside of those couple of parts, it feels like the majority of this lens is aluminum. It's not heavy by any means, but it's definitely solid feeling. It doesn't feel cheap and lightweight. It does have an autofocus manual focus switch on here, and then it's also got a focus hold button on here as well. The front cap on here is fine. It's what you'd expect from a cheap lens, nothing crazy. The rear cap, same deal, fine, nothing crazy. One area build quality wise that I am actually very impressed with is this front hood. It's a sturdy plastic hood. It's nothing crazy, but with some cheaper lenses you do often find some really, frankly, crappy hoods on there. The hood is pretty good, but what impresses me is the locking mechanism and just how sturdy this feels. Like, this is not moving, and the bayonet click in here is just so precise and so satisfying. You guys can hear that click, and it's the small things like that that they don't affect your shooting, but just the overall user experience, that does make a difference. All in all, this stacks up right in line with where this is placed in Viltrox's lens lineup, and they've done so far a fantastic job of keeping lenses priced affordably, but also being really well built. Two other things in terms of the build quality. On the rear, I have the Sony E-mount here, full metal mount obviously. There is a rubber gasket along the edge of the mount. That's just to protect from some dust and water. Viltrox doesn't claim any weather sealing on this, but they do claim that it's dust and water resistant, I believe. And then there is also that USB-C port on there for firmware updates and that kind of thing. Within a couple weeks of this lens coming out and me purchasing it, Viltrox has already released a firmware update for autofocus improvement. Now let's talk about the size and weight of this lens. Such a huge reason why I picked up this lens in the first place. The 85 f2 EVO weighs in at 12 ounces or 340 grams. And in terms of size, it's around 3 inches long and 2.7 inches wide, or 76 millimeters long by 69 millimeters wide. So overall, very small, really easy to tuck in a bag or tuck in a hoodie pocket or something. Honestly, like if you throw this on a small camera, the package is just so small. And this is a perfect time to mention why I've had this monstrosity sitting on the desk alongside this. This is my Sigma 85mm f1.4. This is the older version of this lens, so they do have a newer version that's smaller, lighter, and optically better. Autofocus is better, all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to have this here as sort of a comparison piece because this lens is optically better than this lens and you get f1.4. But just look at the size difference in every single dimension. And it's about 2 to 3 times the weight. Like, this thing is massive. It's a great portrait lens, and if that's what you need it for, an 85 f1.8 or f1.4, even if it's bigger, will probably serve you better. But just having something that's so small, lightweight, portable, easy to travel with, you could balance this on a gimbal, even though you probably won't at 85, but still, just having those options and the ability to tuck it in a pocket so quickly, takes up so little space in a backpack. You can throw it on a really tiny camera and just walk around out on the street without looking like you have a huge professional camera. This thing, man, it checks all the boxes. Now, it's all great how small this thing is, how lightweight it is, but if it doesn't take good photos, if it doesn't take good videos, if the image quality is trash, what is even the point? What is even the point?
What is even the point?
I am happy to report that is not the case. Optically, this lens is pretty great for what it is, and we're going to go over some of that stuff now. First, we'll talk about the positives. Sharpness, that's one thing that Viltrox has done really well, especially on their cheap primes. I found center sharpness on this lens to be great. Even at f2, you obviously will get some additional sharpness as you stop down to f3.2, f4. That's kind of its sweet spot. Even at f2, center sharpness is really great here, and it retains that sharpness throughout the edges pretty well. So sharpness is definitely a strength of this lens. Next, let's talk autofocus performance. Overall, I found it to be pretty good. There were some situations where it felt like when I was first stepping into frame, it took a second to kind of catch my eye. It took some moving around, maybe stepping out of the frame and coming back in before it really caught my eye. Some little things like that were just a little bit funky. It seemed like once it did catch my face or my eye, it was locked in and it was not losing it until I stepped out of frame. So I'm wondering if maybe a firmware update in the future could fix that, but I do wear glasses, so that can impact it just a little bit. Reflections and stuff like that can kind of throw it off. But overall, I did find autofocus performance to be really, really good. Not incredible, but you're paying $275 for a lens, and if you're putting it on any modern camera nowadays, your autofocus performance is going to be great. And now we'll go over a couple of cons here. First one being focus breathing. It's not a huge con for this lens. Again, that's something where if it had a wider aperture, it would probably be a worse problem. But the focus breathing performance wasn't great. Being that this is a third-party lens, it won't benefit from Sony's focus breathing compensation that they have in software for their cameras. That's reserved for their first-party Sony lenses only, but sort of a neutral on this one. I've seen plenty of worse lenses. I've seen plenty of better lenses. My biggest gripe with this lens so far has been the minimum focus distance. The measured minimum focus distance on this lens is 2.43 feet or 0.74 meters. And being that this is an 85mm lens, that gives it a 0.13 times magnification, which means this is far from a macro lens. And honestly, when taking it out and shooting, focus breathing didn't bother me. Autofocus performance didn't bother me. Sharpness didn't bother me. Flaring didn't bother me. The one thing that I found that actually bothered me when I was using this out in the field was the minimum focus distance. Now, if you're using this lens with people and taking portraits, wedding photos, whatever it may be, stuff like that, where your subject isn't going to be that close to the lens, that's probably not a big deal for you. But if this is like an all-around lens where it's being used for a total variety of things like it is kind of for me. Like I was taking some photos of my sister's cats, and I was taking some photos of me roasting coffee beans over here. I'm taking some photos just outside in the fall. I find myself in a lot of different situations where I might be a little bit closer to the subject, and this just doesn't have the minimum focus distance that I've come to enjoy while using lenses like my Sigma 24-70. After using this and hopping onto that lens, man, it was night and day. I could get so close. But that's a totally different class of lens, different price point, different focal length, all that kind of stuff. And that's the one gripe that I had with it after using it for weeks. And then the only other question for you is f2 bright enough for you? When there are so many different 85mm lenses out on the market that have f1.8 apertures and f1.4 apertures, is f2 going to be bright enough, or do you really need that f1.4 or f1.8 to get those really shallow depth of field shots? Super soft, pleasant bokeh in the background. That's kind of the question that you have to think about, because this sort of brings everything else. It's tiny, it's lightweight. Optically, it performs pretty well. The price is really cheap. It kind of just comes down to, is the aperture bright enough for you? And is the minimum focus something that's really going to deter you? So I hope I've given you some good things to think about. Overall, I absolutely love this lens and will definitely be keeping it. I'm actually going to be selling my Sigma Art 85 f1.4, not because the image quality isn't great. It's fantastic. Bokeh is beautiful. The depth of field is just incredible. But this thing is an absolute beast. It's huge, it's heavy, and it's not necessarily what I want to be lugging around all the time when I can have something like this and I don't feel like I'm making that many sacrifices. So let me know what you guys think. Is it worth splurging on a more expensive 85mm to get the 1.8 or the f1.4 aperture to get a better minimum focus distance, to get some other niceties, or is something cheap like this from Viltrox going to do the job just fine? I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I hope it's made your purchasing decisions just a little bit easier. This has been my experience with the Viltrox 85mm f2 EVO, and I will see you guys next time.